Hey, it's Real 101 Sunday with Chezzer, and this video I'm going to talk about how to effectively discuss race issues online. Why? Because last year we had so many race issues just come to light. And oh man, I hope in my heart that no one that's watching this is someone who still thinks or who even just prior to last year thought that racism didn't exist, because I don't have the correct place to start with you. I'm not going to be the person that you want to listen to discuss race issues, because I am like way somewhere else about it. I can't coddle this like, what? Racism? I can't do it with you. Just don't watch the video, because it's going to get very real very fast. And I don't pull punches when I talk about racism. And the reason is because I feel like it just needs to be beaten the fuck out of this country. Damn, I cursed. And this is going up in the group. I'm going to say explicit language or something on there. So, be careful. Anyway, race issues. How what is that word? How to effectively discuss race issues when you are talking online. Okay, let's just start with the basics. When you're talking online, what's generally happening is someone poses a question or makes a statement. Someone else responds to it. Then someone else gets on and they're responding to both the statement that was made and then other responses that they see. So there's emotion building up from so many things, and it gets very confusing very fast. And I'm someone who I feels that I'm very intelligent, I'm very well spoken, but even I get very flustered when I find myself responding to so many parts of the topic, and you end up getting so far away from the topic at hand. And sometimes, and I will say that I've fallen prey to this, my white friends are so they are so patient with me, because a lot of my friends that are non-melanated peoples aren't all aware of the nuances of racism in this country, but they listen. And they listen when I'm mad, and they listen when I'm venting, and they understand my pain, and they let me feel it. And that's why I'm not here for non-melanated people that come into a race discussion to just talk. I saw a discussion go south last night in the group that inspired me to do these videos, and both women, lovely, educated, had a point. One white, one black. The black woman was getting really frustrated because she's still in this angrier place of like, you don't sit back and listen and stop talking. I get that, because I was there all last year. All last year, I didn't want white people to say anything about anything. I really want them to take a year to just listen to what's been going on, because while you're not living this life, you don't get it. I don't care if you think you get it. I don't care how many black people you love. I don't care if you have half black kids. You don't get it. You can't get it. You will never fully embody it. I will never fully embody your struggle either. That's okay. It doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you inherently racist. It doesn't make you, there's no morality attached to you not understanding the struggle of another person. I will never know what it feels like to be a black man. I will never understand what it feels like to be a white man. I will never understand what it feels like to be an Asian woman. I know what it's like to be a black woman in America. That is what I know. That is what I embody. And even embodying that, I've had to grow up to even understand fully what that's about. So, first rule in discussing race relations is, if you're not a part of the race that's the topic that is being discussed, listen more than you speak, even when a lot of the words are angry, because people are upset, people are struggling, and there's a lot of nuances of racism, and there's a lot of systemic racism in this country that even a lot of us don't get. And that said, when someone does understand that and they're speaking in an intelligent manner, don't be so quick to start debating because you feel like you have to defend yourself. Don't defend yourself. You're talking about a marginalized people who haven't even been able to always defend themselves since they've been in this country. So having a platform now where we get to speak out, you're gonna encounter some anger, you're gonna encounter some frustration, you're gonna encounter some ignorance. Let it be. Provide, if you're not of the race, do your best to speak with some kind of empathy, and do your best to introduce yourself into the situation by saying, like, I don't understand and I'm aware of that, but this is what I feel, and that's okay. And that will be a lot more received than immediately feeling like, let me go on the defense, let me tell my opinion, because it's never going to go over well. Never, ever, ever, ever going to go over well. So that's rule number one. Rule number two, if you're black and you tend to be completely detached from black issues, I see this a lot all online. Everywhere I go, there's always, and I'm not going to lie, again, last year, I spent a lot of time calling people coons. I'm just going to be really honest. I spent a lot of time calling people coons because sometimes in the midst of really heavy race-related issues, good black folks like to flex how good black folks they are and completely detach themselves from struggles and completely detach themselves from anything that they don't feel is good black. And they can be very condescending and forget about systemic racism. Growing up in the hood, I get that too. I've been on both. I've been you. I've been you. I've been this kind of like what I am now, which I'm very self-aware. This is like tragic mulatto, anarchist, freedom fighter, my own bit of like somewhat white guilt, all of that, and then like heavy knowledge about issues about being black in America all in one person. So I have a lot of angst. And I get really flustered in race conversations, and I have so much information that I'm always trying to get out, and I have to really try to separate my thoughts. And sometimes I have to go back and apologize, and sometimes I have to go back and reread what somebody said a few times because I immediately take key words out and get mad. Like, I'm human too. So that's why I'm doing this video, because even I don't always know how to effectively discuss race issues, but I have had very effective discussions with people that are not of my race because they know me well enough to say, Cheryl, you're much more tolerant and efficient than this. I feel like you're not reading what I'm saying right. Go back. You know what I mean? And because I know they love me, I do go back and reread, and I do try to be more efficient in my response. But, you know, we're all kind of coming along and learning how to deal, and that's important in diverse nations. I think we forget. Number three, realizing what our world looks like in the span of another world. Oh, race issues come up and people automatically assume that in other countries they don't exist. Which is stupid. It's a stupid thought. Stop thinking that. Stop thinking that. I was in Amsterdam and two Dutch dudes walked by and spit on the ground at me because I was black. I haven't experienced that in America, and Amsterdam is apparently one of the people think is super tolerant, because sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but they have their own marginalized people. Turkish people and Surinamese people in Amsterdam are treated, in Holland are treated terribly. They are extraordinarily racist there. All over Europe. I've been all over Europe. It exists everywhere. It exists everywhere here too. Now, sometimes other countries can be perceived to be more peaceful because they're smaller. You have to think about it. A country in Europe is the size of a state and sometimes a city in America. We are a very, very, very large country. Each one of our states could be its own country. And in all of these states, we are dealing with a lot of diversity or no diversity at all. So America is all online trying to have discussions with each other, and you it's difficult because everyone is living a completely different life. So when you're talking about things like race relations in this country, which are very important because this is not a homogenous land, the only people that this is homogenous to are Native Americans. And when is the last time you had a discussion with a Native American? Come on. None of us are from here originally, but this is where we were born and this is where we grew up, and we have to deal with what we have, and we have to cut ourselves some slack and understand that, like, it's tough. America's a young country, and it didn't start off well. It started off on the backs of slavery and conquest, and it's unfortunate. So we're dealing with that. And it's not over because we're just getting to the point where we're able to have the discussions on equal footing that we're able to have now. I need to stop. I need to get off Facebook while I'm recording because that noise is annoying. Yeah, so understand we're not a homogenous land. We are a land that is being forced, where so many people are being forced to communicate and deal, whereas in other countries, the majority of the people in that country are going to be homogenous and they're more like family. Like Iceland, people love to bring up Iceland and how they deal with their political issues, but I'm like, yeah, it's real easy to deal with your political issues when you're literally all family. Stop. You know what I mean? Like, we will never be Iceland. We can't go to our version of parliament and bang pots and pans and peacefully tell them to step down, and then parliament go, all right, I'm gonna step down now. That works for Iceland. It's not gonna work for America. It's not. Our political system is completely different. So we have to stop comparing ourselves to other countries and understand that we have very unique problems, and we all have different perspectives because we are all living completely different lives. And the first thing that makes people go south in race conversations is when they feel like they aren't being validated for the experiences that they have. Stop invalidating other people's experiences. That's always a go-to, and it's very frustrating. And I know for me, it will make me disrespect you. I can't help it. I can't make my brain not do that. It will make me disrespect you. I will just invalidate you as a human being at that point when you try to invalidate my experiences as a person in this country. For non-melanated people, don't get so up in arms when people start talking about privilege. Privilege is not always discussed, right? I feel privileged. For instance, I had to work hard to be a well-spoken child and adult. Being a well-spoken child and adult has afforded me things in life that other people may not have access to, experiences wise. So I consider it a privilege that I'm well spoken because I was born with a mother who taught English, and she taught me how to be well spoken. And aside from going to school and learning and paying attention, I had constant nurturing to be well spoken. So I consider that a privilege. I'm not going to tell you what privilege is for you. I am saying simply that when the conversation of privilege goes up, stop getting so upset about it. You may have had a hard life, but there is still some privilege attached if you aren't black in this country. Well, or if you're white in this country, there's going to be some privilege attached, whether you feel personally privileged or not. I don't have time to go into that today, but don't get so up in arms about it at first. Again, that's time for you to like sit back and really listen, especially if you're talking to someone who can explain it well, which in these discussions, I usually explain it pretty well to people. But listen, it's okay. Like, I have to listen to people say negative stuff all the time. And it's hard, but I've made myself really listen for the gist of what they're saying and not immediately go on the defense, because sometimes you'll pull the conversation away from where it needs to be instead of starting at the heart of it and really getting down to like the root of the discussion. Back to us, though. Back to black people. Man, we got to stop putting down our own people. I get it. When you are raised in a bad area or just a struggle area, it's really easy to look around you and blame everybody. But then when you like take a bird's eye view of the industrial prison complex, of social programs, of Reaganomics, of the drug war, of the Clinton era, of the Bush era, of so many eras of our country, wars. Oh man, just generational issues as well. It's some people never had a chance. They never had a chance. So, in placing, especially in the middle of a very important conversation, like for instance, when a black man gets killed by cops, it is absolutely not the time for you to start talking about black on black violence. It's not. Stop. It's stop. Don't do that. Don't bring that up in the context of that conversation, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. And what you're doing is, again, stretching the conversation away from the core, away from a part of the conversation that really needs to be discussed, because you got some feelings about some other stuff that doesn't apply. Like, there's a time and a space. Also, that's a fallacy. Black on black crime. People on people crime. There's human crime, and then there is violence that happens from a ruling class to a lower class issue, and that is a completely different thing. When you're talking about the people that are supposed to be protecting you, hurting you in an unjust manner, that's not the same thing as two people getting into it and killing one another. That's a very natural thing. Like, humans are animals and we kill each other, and sometimes, and that sucks. But you're never gonna solve black on black crime until there's a day when humans don't want to kill each other anymore. So that is a stupid topic. It's just a dumb topic completely. And it's a fallacy, and it's something that we've been sold, again, to make us feel like we are doing something wrong just by kind of doing what humans naturally do. And we're specifically doing it wrong because we're black. No. So whenever there's a discussion about police violence, police brutality in general, please don't bring up black on black crime. It's not. It has no place in that conversation. It just doesn't. Compassion. At the end of the day, anybody who, unless you're just a troll, anyone who actually seeks to sit down and have a conversation about race, a productive conversation about race, deserves the opportunity to come out of that conversation without feeling attacked. So even if you do all the things wrong that I mentioned, I think that if we all really sit down and try to have compassion, again, for the fact that someone may not fully understand your perspective when they're coming into the conversation, understand that they have their own experiences that they want to share, that may make them a little detached from what you're trying to say, and then understanding that you may be a little detached from what other people do. That's something I'm working on myself, like understanding like my own privilege and my own detachment that somehow may feed into my perspectives, and that's hard for me. And I luckily have friends that don't mind checking me, but then they have to check me, because if a stranger tries to do it, I'm just going to shut them down, and that's something that I need to work on as well. So I'm willing to do that if you are, but let's all try to be a little bit more compassionate and not go into it with armor and like guns ablazing, because I think at the end of the day we do want to not have to talk about it anymore. But oh my God, not talking about race is not going to make racism go away. When people say stuff like that, I want to choke you out. And this is all over the internet. This is not in the real one-on-one group. This is like the internet. I want to stomp people the fuck out when they say, stop talking about it, it need to go away. Now, I'm pretty sure that's how we got here. The 90s. And them trying to like make us feel like a Coke and a smile and everybody holding hands across America was like the end of racism. No, because when you're trying to take critical thinking out of schools in the South, when you're trying to twist African American history, no, I'm sorry, but not talking about it is not going to be what makes it go away. Raising up generations of people who are aware of what happened and aware of how not to let that happen again, and then older generations just dying, that's what's going to make it go away. So not educating people on racism is not an effective solution. Please don't say that anymore, especially if you're black, because I really, if you think about turning back, I got the shotgun for your back. Like, that's how I feel. I listen to Erykah Badu's Soldier all the time, and I listen to that part, and that's how I feel. That's how I feel. Like, on some Harriet Tubman, like, you're a part of the wrong side, and I just can't deal with you, because that mentality is just so negative, and it's not progressive at all. It is okay to discuss racism, and we're going to discuss it until it's dead. We are going to discuss it until it is dead. Okay? So if you don't want to be a part of the conversation, just don't be a part of the conversation. But don't ever come into a conversation about race on some condescending, y'all just need to stop talking about it, I am mentally free. You're not, though. You're not. You're absolutely not. What you are is blind, and that's okay. It's not, though. It's not okay. Educate yourself. Read some books. There's so many, I wouldn't even know where to start. But read lots of books. I'll actually try to get a list together and write them down somewhere. And yeah, but if you're just not educated, just say that too. I don't really get it. I don't know what's going on, but don't think that your uneducated mind about it entitles you to go into a conversation and just tell people to stop talking about it, because it makes you uncomfortable. Feel uncomfortable, because you know what? We've been feeling uncomfortable since the day we got here. Peace.